And welcome to Ask 9. I'm Jim Mertens.
I'm Becky Phelps. We have a very exciting edition of Ask 9 tonight. We, our reporters, take some very incredible time to do wonderful, in-depth investigations on some really fascinating topics. This one is insane to me.
And it's something that so many people don't know about. Maybe that's a good thing, but on the other hand, it's deeply dark for a reason.
Yeah.
What we're talking about is the dark web. And this week we had an I-9 investigation in regards to the dark web.
Yes, TV9's Kristin Rogers has been working on this for a long time, I believe months now. And she sat down with a leader at Pro Circular, which they do a lot of software and tech stuff, and they help a lot of people protect themselves from the dark web. So she did an I-9 investigation into what exactly is on the dark web and how you can stay safe.
And so let's take a watch of that right now.
Getting to it is a little tricky.
On the internet, you can find just about anything, but hidden on the World Wide Web are things you don't want to find.
It has evolved into some crazy directions.
You won't find it by accident.
You can't really stumble and land into the dark web. You kind of have to mean to go there.
Just as the internet connects us all, the dark web is where criminals connect.
Explain to us what exactly the dark web is.
On the dark web, you can find kind of anything that people would get up to if they weren't being monitored.
Aaron Warner is the CEO of Pro Circular, a cybersecurity company based in Coralville, Iowa. He regularly accesses the dark web as part of his job to track and block cyber criminals.
We do use the dark web for good in our work. We have clients that will call us and say, I want to know if our credit cards are for sale, or if I want to know if our CEO's identity is for sale.
On this day, he showed me what's really there in a small corner of the internet.
I know you said the dark web is maybe 1% of the internet overall. What percentage would you say of the dark web is used for good versus bad?
Kristin, it's funny that you say that, because I was asked to do a TED Talk, and originally I wanted to present on the good and the bad of the dark web. I wanted to sort of give it a chance. I had to revise my entire talk because the truth is most of what's out there is pretty horrible.
A full marketplace.
Meth, Adderall, this is ecstasy, marijuana. You see along the side drugs, online businesses, software services.
Drugs are sold illegally and purchases are untraceable, bought using cryptocurrency.
So can they order meth or any of those drugs just like you would order off of Amazon and it ships to their house?
They can order pretty much as if it were on Amazon.
And it's not just drugs. Identities are for sale, credentials, residency documents.
That's a German residency document.
But some of the darkest parts of the dark web are human trafficking and child pornography.
Anything to do with anything sexual or pornographic almost immediately becomes illegal. So the models become younger, that sort of thing. It gets illegal very, very quickly.
There's also banking information for sale and guns that are illegal to buy, like military-grade machine guns. This ominous warning posted.
He says all these firearms listed above are clean and their serial numbers have been erased. No one will be able to trace back these weapons if they're safe and used for hunting, self-defense, or,
One feature that surprised me, the dark web marketplace even has reviews, with vendors rated on stealth and the quality of their products. Here's one from someone illegally buying drugs.
Communication could have been better. I paid for track shipping and had to reach out to the vendor twice. Looks like a typical Amazon review, right? They said that overall it was great, just communication wasn't great and the shipping time was a problem. The difference is that we're talking about phenobarbital that's being sold illegally.
Cyber attacks help feed the dark web, and Warner says those are happening every day.
It's less about people hacking Google than it is about somebody hitting a plumbing supply company.
While on the dark web for this story, Warner says he witnessed it in real time.
While I was doing this work, I watched this website get hacked. So vericityconstruction.ca is a company in California and Canada. And while I was online, this came up. Owned by Dodds, Turkish defacer was here.
He says hackers will steal information and hold companies for ransom, charging them money to get their website back. In this case, he told the company they'd been hacked.
You're probably wondering the same thing we did. What is law enforcement doing about this? When we reached out to numerous law enforcement agencies, they all pointed us back to the FBI. And when I reached out to the FBI, they never gave me a response. That is part of the problem.
The FBI has some amazing resources in cybersecurity. The only problem is that they are absolutely swamped. Most of the special agents I know carry 20 or 30 cases apiece. Each of those cases, cybersecurity cases, may be $1 million plus. They are very, very busy people.
In short, that means you need to know how to protect yourself. Warner recommends using different passwords and keeping track of them with a password manager. And never click on links sent to you, even if they look legitimate. He says copy and paste them into a web browser instead. Or call your bank to be sure it's legit. He also recommends using two-factor authentication, requiring a password and another verification like a text or email to you in order to access an account. And monitor your credit reports regularly because illegal activity on the dark web isn't going anywhere.
Because of how the network is put together, you pop one down and you've got 3 others. It's sort of whack-a-mole.
That's why Warner believes it's crucial people know about the dark web and what's on it.
I think it is about education. I think if you can help them to understand the risks, you help them to understand that it affects other people. When you buy something on here, regardless of what it is, you're voting with your dollars. Whatever activity is behind that, you're kind of funding with your money.
And because information on the dark web doesn't go away, that cost is not worth the price. In Coralville, Kristin Rogers, KCRG TV9 News.
And Kristin joins us now to talk about putting that story together. It's an incredible story. A lot of stuff that many people just don't think about. How did you get the idea to dive into this?
It was really interesting. I actually was talking with Aaron Warner, the CEO over at ProCircular, about a completely different story. And he actually brought up this idea originally about looking into the dark web. If you could hear it in kind of one of his later sound bites there, he said he wants people to be educated about this because most people aren't. Well, he works in a field where he unfortunately has to see some of this stuff. And so he wanted to spread that awareness. And so it was awesome to be able to sit down with him and to be able to do that.
It's unbelievable to me how, well he's able to explain what goes on there, because the way, what really struck me, you said it was like Amazon, but for a lot of illegal things.
Yeah, and I think that's like the best way that most people could understand, because most people have been on Amazon or have purchased something from an online store, and you just put it in your cart and it ships to your house. Only with the dark web, this is happening with legal drugs, guns. That was something that really surprised me, because I don't know what I pictured the dark web was. Honestly, it's one of those things, like, you hear the term and it's just such a fantasy, such a doesn't seem real type of thing to like really grasp your brain around. But then actually seeing it becomes real, and actually seeing the fact that it's a marketplace. People are leaving reviews about these products. People are buying these things and they're shipping to their house, things that really are illegal to have. It's incredible.
That is just unbelievable. I remember ProCircular is a company that we talk to on and off here at KCRG. They are excellent resources as far as this particular category. I've talked to them, and they have, years ago, I think maybe when I was an intern at KCRG, they showed me just very briefly, how to get on the dark web. And it really has stuck with me all these years, because, I was seeing drugs, and there was like pink methamphetamine, like all of these strange things that I'd never considered could be out there. When they first pulled it up for you, what did you think?
Yeah, it was pretty crazy to see, like I said, just the marketplace. So you mentioned the drugs, seeing the guns, human trafficking, the darkest side of the dark web, essentially. There's so much human trafficking happening, and especially child porn, things with minors, things that we honestly, quite frankly, didn't even look at those things, because I don't want to see any of that. It gets illegal very quickly, as he said in his soundbite. And so he described some of that to us, of the fact that it exists out there. It's a big, big issue. And the fact is, people are able to get away with this for many reasons. For one, they buy it all with cryptocurrency, which is not traced. I did not know that. So that was something that I learned. Obviously, if you swiped your credit card, you might have you might have a deputy show up on your door, maybe an FBI agent, if you swipe your credit card for something like this on the dark web. But that's why they use cryptocurrency, because it's completely untraceable. So that was one thing that I picked up on pretty quickly, is how are they getting away with this? And that was the biggest question that we asked law enforcement. And I reached out to, I have a whole list on my computer of law enforcement agencies and entities that I reached out to, and not a single one of them would talk to us for this story. Various reasons why. Most of them pointed us to the FBI, because these crimes aren't just one jurisdiction. Typically, they're happening across state lines. They're happening across country lines too. And so it gets really hard for law enforcement to track these down in the first place. And then also for one jurisdiction to prosecute these types of crimes. And so they would point us to the FBI. As Aaron said in the story, the FBI has these huge caseloads, and they might not even look at a case unless it's a certain threshold of money, because they have so many caseloads. Wow. So there are experts that deal with this on the FBI. And like he said, there's agents that know how to do this sort of thing. But the issue is that they're all boggled down with the amount of cases they have, because these crimes run rampant on the internet. And so it's just really hard to actually see an outcome if you're somebody that loses $3,000 out of your bank account, or your small business gets, a few grand swiped from it. Well, you might not get any justice, because you don't know where to reach out to. And then if it does get to the FBI, they might not see your case. If they have, cases that they're going after, cases that have millions of dollars involved. So it's really interesting to think about. And that's why Aaron Warner wanted to share all of this information, because essentially you need to do what you can to protect yourself.
That's so interesting. It kind of reminds me of some other fields that we just don't know a lot about, like AI emerging, and how a lot of people have wondered if there needs to be more legislation around that. Did that come up for you at all in your research? People pushing for more legislation around, like, can the dark web be regulated with legislation?
Yeah, we briefly touched on that. It's very hard, like he mentioned, it's like whack-a-mole with any of this, because it's hard to track down where it's coming from. It's coming from other countries too, and then another one just pops up, so it's very, very difficult to kind of like get the reins on and like track down who's doing this. And so yeah, it's a tough topic. But you mentioned AI. That's a really great point, because he did say that AI has made this harder, but also in some ways AI is good for the people that, like him, who work in cybersecurity. AI helps them when they're actually trying to work on the, stopping this sort of thing.
Really?
Yes. But AI also makes it so that it's way easier for criminals to cause this sort of thing. It's like a double-edged sword. So he was describing, with AI, you maybe could have, but pre-AI, you would get those scam emails. We all get scam emails, right?
Every day.
All scam emails. And it's pretty easy to tell, like, okay, this is a scam, right? Like maybe they never use your name, or you can tell that the email's fake.
There's misspelling.
Yeah, you're like, okay, that's a scam. Well, now it's not so easy, because AI can take your name. They can make things look so real. And then also they can send that same message out to a ton of people all at one time. So it's also quicker for these criminals to spread these scams. They just need one scam. They can have AI change the name. They can jot it out all at once. And so it's easier for them to spread these. And these are happening every single day, these breaches, these cybersecurity breaches. And so, yeah, it's definitely something to be aware of, especially now with the technology.
That's so interesting. But he has that AI also helps him.
Yes, yeah, and I don't know how that side of it works, because this is all way too techie for me.
It's fascinating.
Yes, but he obviously is an expert, and yes, he said AI actually, it really helps them in their line of work as they're working to stop this kind of thing. So it's like AI can be used for some good, of course, but like also not. And he also showed me an example that I didn't include in the story. It was with a military service member. It looked like a military service member holding up a whiteboard, and it would have the person's name on it. So this person would be talking with a woman over the internet, maybe creating a relationship, eventually asking for money. Again, a scam, but looking very real because they're sending a picture of themselves where they look like a real person holding a sign that says, you know, Becky or Kristin. So it looks very real.
Looks customized.
It looks customized.
Okay.
Only that same person, military member, is holding a whiteboard, which AI can quickly change the name on the whiteboard and shoot it out to however many women they want to shoot it out to try to get money. So you really can't fall for the things that you see on the internet. It's very scary, really. But this story was not meant to fearmonger or like cause fear, more so awareness, and make sure that people know, you know, what they can do to protect themselves, especially as technology just continues to grow.
That's the thing, is you don't have to be on the dark web or know about the dark web to be impacted by it. So important just to be aware and do the little things to keep yourself safe.
Exactly, yeah. And he shared 5 tips, just to keep it pretty simple, kept 5 tips, which I put into Canva, created a document that's on our website. And so if you want to see some of the things you can do, things like, you know, monitoring your credit, make sure you're using 2-factor authentication, which most banks do. You know, you go to log into your account, they send you a text message, some sort of secondary way to make sure you get into your account.
It feels annoying, but it's important.
It feels annoying, but yes, it's important because a scammer doesn't have your phone, right? So that's like, it's a layer that's to you specifically. And so, yeah, there's 5 tips on there you'll want to check out on our website just to make sure you're doing what you can, because, and especially small businesses too, because one thing he mentioned to me is like, you think, okay, they're after Google or these huge companies. That's who scammers, like, why would they want my plumbing company? But he said those are the highest targets, and those are what are happening in Iowa because there's a lot of small businesses. He also mentioned it's important to monitor your child's credit. You might not think so because your child maybe doesn't have credit, but he said they're #1 targets because they don't have any bad credit. So yeah, just some things that I had never thought of before. The story was super eye-opening is the way I would describe it, and I think hopefully helps spread awareness, helps protect more people.
All right, Kristin, thank you so much for joining us here for this special edition of Ask 9. Again, all of her full story, that graphic, all on our website on kcrg.com if you'd like to continue learning more about how to stay safe with the dark web out there. And as always, if you have any questions you'd like us to answer here on Ask 9, send us a message on Facebook or send us an email. You can join Jim and Beth on the TV 9 News at 6 coming up.